Do not scroll by. You need to stay here and listen for a couple of minutes. Okay, we're trying to get that. We're trying to get that view, that video view average up from 13 seconds. Actually, the average is about 12 minutes now, so we're doing pretty darn good. I'm David Darnell with Captive Audience. Tonight, I have a special guest, Angela Plowhead, who is the newly elected vice chair of the Oregon Republican Party. Hi, Angela.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me on.
Good. Well, congratulations to you. I don't think I think we have talked, but I think we were doing some other business and didn't have time to talk about your election. But congratulations to you being elected vice chair. What prompted you to run for vice chair?
So, really the reasons for running for vice chair were the same ones that prompted me to run for Congress, which were that, I'm watching our nation kind of go up in flames. And having been in the military and made it a commitment to protect our Constitution from enemies, foreign and domestic, I wanted to stay involved. And so I looked for ways to do that. I did many other things, but including joining the Marion County Soil and Water Conservation Board, getting back involved with the Senior Advisory Council, continuing to just serve in my community and my county party. And honestly, after having been on the campaign trail for almost a year, I was pretty tired. But then I had some people call me and encourage me to run. And so I really prayed about it and felt like this is where I was being led. And so called a few people that were party leaders and asked them for, if they felt like it was a good idea and if they could support it. And they said yes. And so I did. And here we are.
Wow. Cool. It's quite a story. Now you're relatively new to Oregon Republican politics, aren't you?
I am. I think like a lot of other people, I had always been involved, but I hadn't really known that there was an active Republican Party in Oregon. There just isn't a lot of visibility for the party in and of itself. And so when I decided to run for Congress was when I got involved with the party. And, like everything else in my life, once I commit, and I'm all in. And so I jumped in with both feet and ran for Congress and, spent 18 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week for almost a year being involved. Had a little bit of a crash course in Oregon politics.
Yeah. Well, I remember you did call some people when you first. Actually, you called me, I believe, before you even filed, if I remember correctly, which is very unusual. And much to your credit, that unusual behavior, I think, is what a lot of first-time candidates really miss for sure. Because I know that people who have been elected, people who have been elected and then run again for, let's say, another position, they make those calls. They talk to people and they go, how do you see this? What's the landscape? What's it look like? How much money can this position raise and that kind of, stuff. And then they make their decision to run based on that rather than some other decision, which is, very smart to your credit. And it sounds like you did the same thing. I know you called me before you ran for vice chair, and it sounds like you did the same thing for vice chair. So now that you are vice chair, what does a vice chair of the Oregon Republican Party do? What are the responsibilities? What's the job description?
You really serve at the pleasure of the chair. And so whatever they need help with is what you do. And so, like you said, I called around, I talked to a lot of different people, and, I keep telling people, one thing about me as a candidate for this position was that, I don't have ties to any faction, but I'm friends with lots of people. And so, I've really worked to develop those relationships over this past year and to really just get to know lots of different people on lots of different levels. And so that's what I did. I reached out to a lot of different people, talked to, like I said, just about everyone. And so as vice chair, that's what my job is to kind of be around the party, make sure that we're all talking, that we're communicating, that we're working in unity to get Republicans elected. That's the goal. is to get Republicans elected and to take this nation back, to take Oregon back, and to turn this state red. And we're on our way. We've got some pretty exciting races happening right now, and probably the best shot in 40 years that we've had to really have balance in our political world here in Oregon, and actually get some policies that aren't so lopsided into our daily lives that are actually going to impact everything we do.
Yes, Oregon is in desperate need of balance. We have been tipped over to the far left for so long that I think many Republicans, heck, maybe even me, I'm not sure, probably suffering from Stockholm syndrome. I know that there's a few Republicans out there that have seemed to grown fond of one of the abusers who abused them the least, Betsy Johnson. Even though her record, I hear people talking about Christine Drazen's record. It's like, good God, have you seen Kotek and Johnson's record? And you're talking to me about Drazen's record? I mean, if you're going to vote on records, then, Drazen is a clear choice. But I've noticed there's been a few Republicans out there, and most recently, the former vice chair and former chair for a very short period of time, Herman Bartschiger, came out in favor of Betsy Johnson, somehow claiming with some sort of new math that she has a chance to win. Now I know Justin, the chair, came out with a strongly worded statement about that. What are your thoughts on Republican leaders not supporting Republican candidates?
That's what we sign up to do, and we're not going to agree with everyone and everything. Like you just said, people are going to look at records, and we may not agree on every single piece of our platform. But when you look, and there's a really clear choice of, this person is a Republican, they've been a strong Republican, they vote along with our platform most of the time, that is always going to win out over a Democrat who is a Democrat through and through and doesn't support what we stand for. And that's really what it comes down to. Are we gonna stick to our principles? Are we gonna support our platform? And are we gonna support our candidates? And that's what we should all be doing. And any leader in our party or former leader in our party who is committed to those principles should be voting along those same lines.
Yeah, I actually made a public statement. Nobody, not that anybody cares what I say publicly, but I publicly stated that if you're a Republican leader, you should be supporting the candidates. I mean, I had to stand in the Oregon Republican Party fair booth, which I did every fair for a decade, with a Romney shirt on. I had a Romney shirt on. Okay, I was pimping Romney, Mitt Romney for president. So, I don't see Christine Drazen in that light whatsoever. I think we can all disagree, and I think we should disagree. Although I have noticed over the last 6 or 7 cycles that it causes quite a bit of animosity. But we should all have our own primary picks, And I didn't vote for Newt Bueller in the primary. I voted for somebody else. But once he won the primary, and I was still a member of the ORP executive committee, and privately and publicly, I both supported him. Once he won, I donated his campaign. I did whatever I could. I thought he had a pretty good chance, and that's the way I've always seen it too. Now, to Herman's credit, and I don't dislike Herman at all. Herman is my county commissioner. I live in Josephine County. To his credit, he did resign his position in the ORP before he did that, because I'm sure it was a long time in the making. And as far as I know, if he was a PCP, he also resigned that position too. So I have to give him credit for that. I think that's really big of him. But I'll tell you what, I think a lot. I saw it a lot today. How you get a lot of input on a lot of different, channels and things coming in. And one of the things that, kind of ran through from all these different channels that I consume throughout the day is that this is our best chance in 40 years. And I think you mentioned that. And we need to take advantage of it, because it's not going to come around every time.
No, it's not. And we have to stop shooting ourselves in the foot, right? when we have primaries for a reason. We're a democracy, and so we get in there, we run the primary, we run our best, and then if we don't win, we support the candidate that did, because that's who the members of, or the voting Republicans have selected. And so 4 days after I lost my race, I didn't moan and groan about it. I got out there and I supported Mike Erickson. I don't care if you like them or not, or if they're your personal friend or not. The other Republican voters have said this is who we want, and so that's who we stand behind.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. You hear this every cycle. The people behind the curtain, and of course, you are now behind the curtain, Angela, because you're vice chair. So you're one of them, by the way. In case you didn't know that, you're now one of them. So the people behind the curtain, the establishment, the powers that be, installed Christine Drazen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, no, as far as I know, in Oregon primary candidates are selected by the voters. The Democrats select theirs, we select ours, and I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. Now, I may be misguided and not know exactly what's behind. Well, I do know what's behind the curtain. I've been there. You know who's behind the curtain when I was in there? Me and a bunch of other hardworking people trying to do some stuff. Donating our own time, donating our own money. Not going to anniversaries or birthday parties and having to do this, that, and the next thing, for the good of the party. So, as far as I'm concerned, if the voters are going to pick Christine Drazen, I think she's a perfectly fine choice. I have absolutely no problem with her. When I look at two Democrats and one Republican running in a race in Oregon, that's not a hard decision.
Yeah. It's not. It absolutely is not. You can look clearly at her, and not just at her record, but look at what she's done on the campaign trail. And she has gone back, even the things that she was strong on that might sort of fit with who we are, the 2A stuff. And
Johnson, you're talking about Johnson?
Yeah. She's backed off on that. She's gone lockstep with the things that the people that have supported her and put her there over and over again are in support of. So she's absolutely a Democrat, even though she doesn't have that title right now at this moment,
Right.
until she changes it back again.
Right.
So why supporting that? Why? It doesn't make sense.
No, I really can't put it together either. And, we're at the point now where we're, how many days are we till ballot drop?
20?
Oh, no, till ballot drop.
Yeah.
We're 15 or 16 days, something like that.
We're getting really close.
Yeah. And that's, I suppose after the fact, that's when we'll figure it out. So, what is your vision for the Oregon Republican Party, Angela? I know that, I've been through, I don't know how many chairs over the years, chairs, vice chairs, executive committees, and everybody kind of has a little bit different take on what the mission of the party should be and how to get there. And so, what is your vision now? That actually, let me ask you this question beforehand: Are you serving an interim term, and then is that position up for election again in February?
It is, absolutely. It's up again. And so I just wanted to address, I saw a comment come by that we're a republic, and absolutely we're a republic. But we do have to listen to our voters. And, if we're not, then we're no better than some of the communistic or totalitarian governments out there. And so that's what we have to do. And so this is the system we have in place. It's one that has worked very well for our nation and kept us free. And so we need to make sure that we're sticking to it. And, as individuals, it's okay for us to vote however we're going to vote. But when we belong to a party and as a leader of a party, we need to stick with those beliefs and should not be coming against our own candidates.
I'm with you 100% on that. I just don't get it. I mean, you can, if you don't even want to vote for the candidate, you don't have to. It's a secret vote. If you want to vote, if you're if you're a leader of a county party and you want to vote for Kotek, you can vote for Kotek, but certainly don't be stumping for stumping for other candidates, that are in opposition to your party when you're, a member of a party. As far as I'm concerned, if you're a PCP, you need to toe the line. I mean, you're elected by other Republicans
That's right. That's
to
right.
represent your precinct, represent the people in your precinct to the county party, and represent the county party to the people in your precinct, as far as I'm concerned. So getting back to what kind of vision do you have for the Oregon Republican Party?
To win, right? And that's where our focus needs to be. I'm as short as you mentioned. We don't have a lot of time, but we do need to get out there and be talking to people. We need to get out the vote. The Dems have been really good at this in the past, and we need to make sure that we're good at it too. And part of that is, like I said, people don't even know that the Republicans are out here, that we're an active party that are actually doing things to fight for the freedoms of this nation. So they need to know that. They need to see us. We need to be going to the places that they are, not expecting them to come to us. We can't go to a few fairs a year and expect that that's going to get us enough reach that we're going to make a difference. We have to be going out and talking to people. We have to be doing things that actually impact our communities. And so, that's what our plan is. I'm not going to go rogue. Justin and I are working together really well, and I think that we will have um, an opportunity to make some real difference. And so, I'm really excited about that. And I think that we're working on our get out the vote plan, and so we're going to be releasing some of that here in the next few days. And so.
It's time, isn't it?
It is. And, we're also working on our election integrity pieces and making sure we have a plan for that. And so, we have to be attacking this at multiple fronts.
So, do you plan to run again, or is that a question it's too soon to answer? I know, you're only looking at a few months, so I would imagine if you have a vision that you would probably want to run again. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, certainly time is too short to do everything that I think we can do to make the party the best it can be. And so we'll definitely be running again in February. I'm can't speak for Justin, but I'm pretty sure that we've got something strong going, and I think that we can continue it and push it past February. And I'm willing to stick on for that. If it turns out that I'm not doing a good job over these next few months and people don't want me to stay, then they'll have the right to say that too. So we serve the pleasure of the people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how politics goes, for sure. So, what are your thoughts on what are your predictions for this November? I know that we have. I've heard from both caucus leaders, Knope and Breeze Iverson. Isn't she the House leader? Gosh, I should know all of that stuff. I've been just kind of disconnected out of the Oregon Republican Party for a little over a year now, and it's kind of weird. I'm not in the loop, so I don't know what goes on. But I've heard from both of them, and they're both seem to be, maybe it was just a stump speech, I don't know, but both seem to be confident that we can make some gains and perhaps at the very least get rid of the Democrat supermajority, which has been absolutely destroying our state with really bad policy. What are your thoughts? What do you think's going to happen? Are we gonna get a majority in the House or the Senate? Are we going to win statewide? What do you're kind of on the inside. What do you think's going to go?
Everything is looking really good, and we're polling really well. Our candidates are really strong. And so, and I think people are just tired. They're tired of being defeated and beat down. They're tired of not being able to walk out their door without having someone shot, to be able to just drive down the street in some safety and security, to be able to go to the grocery store and be able to buy bacon that's not $18 a pound. I mean, it's crazy stuff that we're experiencing right now in our nation and in our state. And so I think we are going to have a really good chance at least evening out both our Senate and our House here in Oregon. And I think we have a really good shot of getting at least 3, if not 4, of our congressional districts won. I would love to see 4, and I think the numbers are kind of showing it. So I would love to see that happen and take the governor.
What's the fourth one?
So obviously, Cliff Bentz, we've got Lori
Oh,
Shaughnessy.
okay. Okay, yeah.
Um,
Cliff Bentz. So you're talking Bentz, Scarlatos,
mhm.
um, Chavez Dreamer, and that other guy. I forget his name.
Yeah, Mike Erickson. Yeah.
Mike Erickson. Yeah, yeah. I don't know Mike, and that's why I know everybody else. It's odd that I've never met Mike. I think he's run before, and perhaps CD5. And I was lived in CD5 for quite some time, and I still have a house there, but I think it's in CD6 now, North Marion County.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, four. Gosh, 4 out of 6 would be amazing. Oregon would have a Republican caucus of sorts in D.C.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think we will get close to that if we don't get that. And I think we're going to shock the nation. I think they're going to find out that we're not quite the left coast that people thought we were.
really? Wow. Gosh. Well, I sure hope so. After you've been doing this a while, well, after you've been doing this in the time period that I've been doing it in, where we've just been getting beat. I mean, we did have Dennis Richardson in 2016, and that was huge. That was huge for people like me, and there's hundreds of people like me that are the people that deliver signs and pound signs in the ground and knock the doors and make the phone calls and man the fare booths and all that stuff. It was huge to get a win because, I mean, frankly, we had not had a win. We watched our majorities in the House and the Senate, dwindle away. I think the last one we had was a 30-30 split in the House in 2010, but I think we lost the House, I think, in 2002 or 2003. Lost the Senate, I believe, in 2005, and of course hadn't won a statewide race until Dennis Richardson. I know, people, but heck, I know a lot of people have moved away, Angela, to be honest with you, because, after a while you just go, heck, this is not going to work. And, but we need some kind of win. And I'm kind of hopeful, even though, I'm somewhat, pessimistic overall, about Oregon's electoral, prospects. I think mostly, from historical data,
Yeah.
that we can take the governor's seat. I mean, we've got Kotek is like she's not likable. Nobody likes her. I mean, Democrats, I don't even think like her. Of course, they're going to support her and they're going to give her money and they're going to vote for her and all that stuff and they're going to work for her because she's a Democrat and Republicans are the Satan incarnate according to
Yeah.
the far left. But I think Johnson, a friend of mine, said that Republicans will be electing if Drazen wins. Republicans will be erecting statues of Betsy Johnson for splitting the vote. What do you think is going to go there? Do you think she's going to? Is she going to? She looks like she's targeting Republicans. Is she going to get more Republicans, or is she going to get more Democrats, or what do you think?
She is targeting Republicans, and I see that as probably, actually, I don't think it's been a winning strategy for her. So she has actually gone down in the polls. So I think she was polling around 18%, and now she's polling around 16%, where Christine has gone up in the polls. And so pulled ahead. She was even with Tina Kotek, and now she has pulled ahead of her in the polls. And I think she's talking about the issues where the other ones are attacking. Um, I don't know if you've seen any of their ads lately, but some of them are attacking some really crazy things. And so I think people are
I
seeing,
haven't actually. I don't have television, so I live in the forest and we don't have television out here.
well, I don't want to give them any press, but I will say, I, I, I think that Christine is really doing some good things with some of her advertising. And I think that her good. She's attacking the policies and she's attacking the issues. And she's really keeping it in front of people's minds that, you know, right now we have a chance to have a different course in Oregon. And I think every time people go to the gas station or go to the grocery store or, take a look at what's going on with their kids, which, we're doing our best to kind of educate them about what's happening. And right now we just had all this information from ODE drop about how awful
Yeah.
um, the our academics are here in Oregon. And what is that going to look like in 5 or 10 years when, these high schoolers are graduating and they're functionally illiterate? They don't know how to do math and science. And so, businesses are already saying, we can't find people that actually have a work ethic because they've had no accountability their entire lives because they've grown up as kind of the entitled generation that
Mhm.
didn't have to, work to get their trophy. And then, and now, they've got all of these issues with the schools and with what's happened after the 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 closing down of the schools for 2 years. And so, they're all about equity and inclusion, but what they're really doing is, taking us down to, reducing us to the mean, where now you have the
Yeah.
kids, don't know how to read and don't know how to write getting A's, and the kids that actually are putting some effort into it are the only ones that are succeeding. And
Yeah.
when you only have a third of our kids going to school that are actually getting any academic success, our academics are tied to things like, and talking about good academics, are tied to how well kids are going to do in life. They're tied to how much money they're going to make. It's tied to whether or not they're going to be involved in crime and, drugs and all these other demographics. And so they're really setting our kids up for failure. And parents see that. Every parent wants their child to succeed. And so, people aren't,
Certainly.
they're not stupid. They see what's happening.
Good. Yeah, I sure hope that translated at the ballot box. It's Oregon desperately needs that, and I would be elated. I mean, there's nothing that would make me happier than eking out some sort of win in Oregon after all these years of not. So
Here to do it.
yeah.
Certainly.
So what do you think? What do you think is the most important thing for the Oregon Republican Party to do? I know I've been involved in it, for a while, and I have some ideas that I think should be, maybe moved up the priority list. But what do you think is the most important thing to do for the party apparatus?
So I think we need to unite. I think that's the biggest thing. We need to come together and show that, because if we stay divided, if we divide ourselves, we're never going to win. And so, we're on point with our messaging. We're on point with the things that we care about, because the things that we care about are the things that everyday Americans care about. We care about, whether or not our kids are going to um, be able to get a job after school, that they're able to be able to go to college, if that's the path that they choose, and go on and get a livable wage job. We care that we're able to pay our bills and that our children aren't exposed to pedophilia in the schools. And
Ah, no kidding.
we've had 7 arrests just since the spring of educators, and that
Yeah,
should be
yeah,
really. I think that's troubling to most parents. I don't think any parent wants to send their child to school, and expose them to something that's going to make them more vulnerable to someone that might try to take advantage of them.
yeah,
No
yeah,
one wants.
yeah.
So I think we're on point with our messaging. I think it's about, our party coming together, being more visible, getting out to those places where, people that don't normally think of Republicans as being for them are able to see who we are, and that our values and our principles really reflect who they are.
So, are you thinking? What are you thinking when you say that? What kind of people are you talking about getting out to?
Yeah, we've nationally seen a huge spike in the Latino population coming, you know, recognize that they're conservatives. They have
They're,
conservative.
they're yes, yes. I have lived in the Spanish speaking community almost my entire life, and they are culturally and historically really conservative. I mean, the conservative values. The problem, of course, is they come from a social. Most of them come from a socialist country, and that type of environmental impact, I think, is easier for the far left to bring them along. But I think when most people, yeah, I think when you peel back the curtain, if you're, been sucked in by the left, I think you peel back the curtain, you take a good hard look at it, you go, no, no, you people are not like me.
Yeah, well, and when they come to the environment, though, they've seen it. They've seen the start of the rise of communism, or the rise of totalitarianism, and they are very strongly against that. And when I say they, I mean, the people that have immigrated to this nation from countries that have a communist or totalitarian kind of government,
Hmm.
they are very against it. And do not want that here in America, because they came here for opportunity, and they see that opportunity being stolen, and it's being stolen by Democrats. It's not
Hmm.
being stolen by the Republicans. And so I believe that there's lots of demographics and lots of communities here in Oregon that are immigrant communities, or communities um, of people of color, that whether that's the Hispanic community, or the Black African American community, the Asian American community, that they see very clearly what's going on in our nation, and they want there to be a change, and they're recognizing that I don't have to be bothered by you know what the left has pushed with trying to convince people that Republicans are bigots and hateful, and these nasty people. What I'm seeing right now from the Democrat side is that they're the ones pushing all of the hate and all of the nastiness. And
Oh
so
gosh, yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's well, I mean, it's the largest propaganda operation, maybe in, well, I don't know if it's in the world. I suppose that's probably kind of a big claim, but I will say that there is a large and well-developed, pervasive, and everywhere, all at the same time, omniscient propaganda machine within the United States of America, and it's been going on for many, many years, decades. And it comes through mostly this, not this screen. I guess it does this screen somewhat, but yeah, mostly it's the television screen. It used to come through almost entirely in print, but and it works. You know, it's amazing. It works. I have friends who are not stupid. I have friends who are educated, not stupid. I have friends who can think abstractly, fall prey to it, fall prey to it.
yeah.
It comes in and they go, oh yeah, yeah. Donald Trump put Mexican kids in cages. You know,
Well, for Obama era policies that didn't end when Trump left office. I don't know if anyone's visited the border in a while, but yeah, and there's some, and I think people are just seeing through the lies. That it's been going on for so long, and they're seeing. It's really clear when you look at the numbers of what's happened in the Democratic run cities versus the ones that aren't. We're seeing that you know, just look at Portland, and we don't have to look any further than our backyard, right?
ah,
To see the craziness that's gone on, and how one party rule has ruined Portland, has turned it into a vital, just really economically successful place, to a place that people are can't they're tripping over themselves to get out.
oh,
Um,
it's an S hole. It's a microcosm of everything that far left policies, the consequences of far left policies, everything that is wrong with that. I mean, it should be in a dictionary. Far left progressive policies. Picture Portland. I mean,
yeah,
it's yeah.
but I feel like
All
we're
right.
gonna
Well, what's that?
I feel like we're gonna change that this year.
God, I hope so. I tell you what, the primary really surprised me when I saw. Uh-oh, am I frozen?
I can
I am.
see you.
Okay. The only way I know I freeze up. I'm on Starlink and I've got some trees that are shading my thing, and so I freeze up every once in a while. The only time I know when I'm frozen is when you're not moving, and you weren't moving, but you weren't frozen. Um, and I probably lost my train of thought now.
That's okay. But what I want to say is that every PCP needs to be engaged. So if you're a PCP out there, I would say make sure you have a candidate that you support, at least one, if not more, and get out there and support them. Work for them. That's how we're going to win this thing, is by knocking doors and talking to people, letting them know what's happening and how we have a different solution, how we can turn this state around and make it actually function well again. And most people have really conservative values. We did some polling last spring, I believe it was, or last winter, and 70% of our unaffiliated voters are very conservative. They have our values. So let's not be afraid of talking to people because they don't have the title Republican attached to them. Let's get out there, talk to them, and show them how our values reflect who they are.
Well said. I can't think of a better way to end the show.
Thanks for having me on, David.
Thank you, Angela. And good luck with your new position.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I froze. That's kind of weird. All right. Good night, everybody. As usual, please share this with others so that they may be blessed by the blatherings of not Angela, but myself. And I guess I am the only one that blathers. So, yeah, share it with everybody so they can hear my blathering. Good night, everybody.